Hey kids, you there already, Roma?
Yeah, I'm here.
My volume up. Oh look, I'm here twice.
One is here.
I think I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're fine. Anybody
Okay.
else?
It's the two of us. I know. Yeah.
What happened to Arun?
I know Arun's coming, and Daniel said he's gonna bow out. I think
Okay.
he had. Let me see if I can fix my sound.
How's that? That sounds better. Okay, now I don't have feedback or whatever. Maybe I can switch and get. Whoa.
Hey Arun, how are you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
Pretty good, man.
I'm
Thanks, by
not
the way,
quite.
for your information.
Say that again. I didn't hear.
No, thanks for that information on that last week's issue. Very
Oh, okay.
clear.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it fit in after this thing. Yeah, it all makes sense. Thank you.
Yep, sure.
Chris, we're ready to start?
Yeah, I think I'm good. I'm trying to pull up my notes here.
Okay.
If it'll let me actually share my screen. It said it was gonna, but I can't. That's bizarre. Hold on 1 second. Oh, so I was going to say, I think you guys probably saw his note, but Daniel said he was bowing out for a while, if not possibly permanently. He passed his qualifications, I think, to get his master's degree. And
Okay.
in the lead up to the rush before school starts here in 10 minutes, he's swamped with actually doing, research stuff for the PhD portion.
Wow.
So we
Nice.
may not see him again, or he may, to say hi, but he didn't know he was going to have time to, keep pace with us,
Right.
especially as we start entering the high weeds.
Yeah. I saw the comment.
Oh dear, what's going on? Do you remember what page we stopped at last time, Roma?
Yeah, we stopped at that. Let me do the page number.
I think we were almost at the end of section 5.1, I think, weren't we? Or had we gotten into 5.2?
No, we're not gone to 5.2 yet. We're coming towards the end of it.
I think we stopped at that problem. That problem, right?
Yeah, we stopped at problem. I don't think we came to functors also. We had to start from almost, yeah. Let me do one. I think we stopped at page 219, I guess. No, not even 219, sorry. Even earlier than that.
Okay.
We stopped at page 211.
I did have one question on this, or a couple quick questions, hopefully. On page 206, this part I've got highlighted in red. His little arrow with the hooked tail is indicative of injection, correct?
Yeah.
Or defined as, or the symbol for injection.
Yes, that's correct.
I don't think he defined it anywhere else, and I think he just threw it out here and presumed that people would know that's what it meant without actually saying so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I went and looked back and didn't see anything about it. The other one I had, and we talked about it for a while last week, an example, it's like 5119,
Uh-huh.
where he goes through this exercise, essentially of what is not a category, and he draws this graph G
Mm-hmm.
and shows why it's not, but then he's essentially kind of this follow-on problem without actually saying it's a follow-on problem is how can we make this simple graph G into a category? So he adds the identities and this other portion. And he doesn't say it specifically here, but I get the impression that in a great sense what he's done in the way this is defined is this F composed or G composed with F is let's see if I can say it right, is isomorphic with H. And so this is a commutative diagram in a sense, if I'm not mistaken. So, and for some reason I want to say and it's in
isomorphic, yeah.
And so in some other book I've oh, it's not showing you. Oh, there's the pop-up. I was going to say, in some other book I read, I want to say, and it's not this one, but I want to say it's the case that because this diagram is commutative, it automatically gives you, because of the universal properties that we did in, like, I think chapter 3, it gives you the composition and associativity automatically. But I looked for a while this week and I couldn't find that note. But I'm almost certain the way, and we'll probably get to it maybe later on in this book, I'm guessing. But I wasn't sure if either of you two had read anything to indicate that that's definitely the case, or if it's just me kind of half making something up. But I think the upshot is because this graph is commutative, or it's a commutative graph, then it automatically becomes a category, shows up as kind of a definition or a byproduct of that, instead of actually having to work through the 27 pairs and the 81 cases.
Right.
Especially since this is kind of a simple minimal case, and if it got any more complicated, then you'd be going through 500 pairs and 4,377, cases, which would be so prohibitively painful that, But I have a feeling that that's part of the definition or some kind of duality thing. But if you guys want to think about it or run across something like that, let me know, because I would love to.
I think last week we discussed this part. The main point is, there are two more laws of category that are missing out here, and he wants to add those two laws.
Yeah.
That one has to do with the identity, and the other one has to do with the associativity.
Yeah.
And
it's these two category laws that he throws out here.
Yeah, he throws out that, then he gets all these pairs matching very nicely, and he says everything sort of.
Yeah. No, that part I get, but I think that in this last paragraph where he's talking about the 27 pairs of Hom sets and the other 81 cases for associativity.
Right.
And it may have been actually Codrington's videos that I saw like 2 weeks ago. Maybe that's where I saw it that indicated. And I don't think he got into the math and explicitly did it, but I think he essentially said that typically when there is a commutative diagram, that a lot of the extra stuff kind of flows along with it. So that in this case, as long as you know it's commutative, you don't have to work, and it's got the identities, then you wouldn't have to worry about the associativity or the unique composition stuff. It would just
Okay.
automatically.
I think he gets the 27 and 81 by looking at the combinations again. That's how he gets the number 27 and 81.
Oh yeah. No, I totally get that. It's
okay.
the 9 pairs of 2 essentially. So it's So I totally get where he gets the 27 pairs and the 81 cases.
Okay.
But I think what he's saying is it's kind of hidden in the phrase, someone with good intuition for categories will see it immediately. Otherwise, you got to go through the painstaking process of checking all of those 27 pairs and then the 81 cases for associativity, which is, a little on the tedious side. But I'm assuming that from what I've seen somewhere else that this quote, someone with good intuition for categories, is kind of indicative. If this is a commutative diagram, then it's kind of like dominus ominous, you're okay from if you thought of it in a religious standpoint. So
okay.
But I can't back it up because I can't find the reference. But we may run across it here shortly.
Okay.
Okay.
So essentially what he's saying is the diagram looks the way it is. You got all the required properties satisfied for the category.
Yeah. No, that part I get, but it's the kind of the fuzzy thing underneath it that he's not talking about that I think I'm getting the hint he's throwing out, but I'm not 100% sure that it's the hint I think it is, because and I thought maybe somebody else had run across that, whatever the reference is that I'm not coming up with.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I think you're right. That it's the fact that it's a commutative diagram makes it a category. I think that is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's kind of hiding it here.
Yeah, because it's a commutative diagram, that means all the paths and everything should align correctly for the composition too. So yeah, I think that is correct.
All right. So what page did you say we were jumping up to, Rama?
211 we finished. 211 we finished. Actually, we're at the end of 211, which is relevant category of graphs. That's where we stop.
Yeah, okay.
I think category of graphs, no questions, I think, right?
Yeah, I think I got most of it.
Yeah.
I had to go back again to chapter 4. Some of the things I breezed through in chapter 4, I'm regretting having not spent enough time on, maybe. But
yeah, I think he uses a lot of chapter 4 in chapter 5.
Yeah, especially 4.3 and 4.4, I think. Yeah. And even the section that I kind of skipped, the section 4.5, I skipped. He's made several references to as examples. So
yeah, as examples, yeah, he gives a lot of examples where he uses things we learned in chapter 4.
I'm so used to most people using examples from linear algebra and calculus and everywhere else.
Yeah.
It's annoying not to see those same 10 pet examples anymore. But I guess it's nice to not have just examples from set theory, I guess, too. So.
Yeah.
I think 5117 is pretty straightforward. It's something we all can relate very quickly. Exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a calculus example.
With the line integral and equivalence relation being defined on that. And so identimorphism is nothing but a constant curve. And of course it follows the associative law.
Yeah.
Then 5118, this guy is talking of isomorphisms, which are pretty standard definitions we saw before. In other words, you need an invertible function where composition of each leads to identity and domain and codomain. To say that we are isomorphic. So we've been familiar with it quite some time. So I guess we've got a couple of examples and graphs on that. And I don't know what he means by under viewpoint on categories 51126.
Yeah, that it took me a while to kind of figure out what exactly he was doing there. I kind of got it back when I read this, but I have to go back and read through all this because I think I.
Which one are you talking about, Arun?
No, same one you're talking about, right? Another viewpoint on categories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He sort of made like a sequence out here, and then drew this horrible looking diagram on 5.3, which I sort of understood.
Hmm.
I had some comfort starting in the middle where they say home C cross home C, heading towards home C, that is like composition law and the domains and projections and all that. But I not paid too much attention to that because I really didn't understand what exactly is going there with it. And I'm not too ashamed to say I'm skipping all the O logs. I don't know what they do. So I would say let's jump to functors unless somebody has some other questions.
This last 51126 with this big crazy thing
Mm-hmm.
is very reminiscent of back here with
Yeah, this one.
back to 32116 is essentially the same diagram or similar to this equation or fairly similar to equations for 312 diagram 312. But it's almost exactly this same example here that he
Yeah, you know that.
used essentially. He's just got a lot more complicated.
No, it's not complicated. It's just tedious.
Well,
If you start from the center, right, it's a home C to home C is a composition that leads to another homomorphism.
yeah.
And every homomorphism, domain and codomain, he keeps, pointing those things out. And it's tedious more than.
Yeah.
It's basically you have to follow each line correctly and see whether all of them make sense. And I think it does. You have to go through them one by one.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it just looks hairier, I think, because of the notation. Seems more foreign, or at least to me. But I plugged for a half an hour.
Yeah, it takes time, but you sort of see what it is basically.
Yeah, my favorite was this line. Whenever you feel cognitive vertigo. That's that's mathematician code for you should be confused right now, just a little bit.
Okay, next one is my favorite area, which is functors. And definition 5121 talks about functor, which we sort of know what the definition is.
Yeah.
And now we are going from category to category, and whenever you have homomorphism, if it also gets satisfied on the other side, you are in good shape. So example 5122 is straightforward. It's monoids with underlying sets. Then he says within monoids you can have functors again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then another natural example is 5123 groups with underlying monoids, because groups are invertible elements monoids don't have. So you can have functors that go from one direction to the other direction. And I like his example here, the Toxos symmetries 5124. And it says if it's breaking down somewhere, then you can add extra observable. That's not irreversible under symmetry. Then you want to relax the requirement that every action be reversible without changing anything else. So you want to know how to proceed. What's allowed is simply go from category of groups to category of monoids. That's a good example.
Yeah. Actually, I missed Dave Sneed when I read this section.
Yeah,
and I thought, Why is he not with us?
He would have got excited about one application of physics here.
Oh, I think there's lots of applications. It just they're not like banging us over the head with them.
Yes.
And I think even if they threw in a bunch of physics examples, it would go over the heads of most who don't have the background to really appreciate it anyway. I think he's trying to keep the level of, the level of most of the actual applications he's been using are, not very advanced actually.
Yeah, but they're very diverse, so it's good to sort of peek around and see what is happening in other areas.
Yeah. But I saw symmetry and I was like, yeah, Dave's just missing out.
So between two monoids, it says the homomorphisms may not be subject in a sense. Some of them may not map to other one basically. We did group to monoids as homomorphism, which is pretty straightforward, very nice. Pre-orders and partial orders, they're again homomorphism. I'm just skipping through most of it because it's pretty familiar with most of what we do.
I kind of wish you'd do things like this a little more often and with these lovely little bon mots.
A lot about that functors. And then it goes of questionable functors. Then graphs. Then the end says category of categories. This is page 235.
Oh, you are making a jump there, aren't you?
I jumped in between because
yeah, no, some of these are they were just good examples, I think.
Yeah, they're good examples. They scan through. They're not too tough to understand something. But no, Arun, unless you have some issues in there.
Yeah, let me see. I had some question. Let me see whether where I had. Let me try to find out the page where I had the. Yeah, no, it's after this actually, I think.
After this? So we can go to the next section then.
Yeah, it's after this, I think. Let me try to find out. Yeah, it's after this.
Okay. So 235, he talks about category of categories. Where we take small categories and small categories called cat, in which objects are small categories, morphisms are functors. So he's built a superstructure on a superstructure basically. It's interesting.
Now, is some of this too related to the? Was some of this related to the comment he made earlier about Russell's paradox? I want to say it was back in like.
Russell's paradox comment, I guess he made because. Why did he make Russell? Oh, he said all the morphisms are the objects. Oh,
I think it was somewhere at the beginning of 5.
Oh, yes, sorry. Morphisms. Okay, objects. The underlying categories don't form they form a collection, not a set, to avoid the Russell paradox. And the way he sort of circumvents the whole thing, still calls a set because Grothendieck, I guess, calls it a small universe, small category.
Yeah.
You take some properties and makes a small universe by itself, the kappa small, and everything is small category. So in that sense, everything becomes a set. So your category also, objects within category also form a set.
Yeah.
So
is that
otherwise,
he's using the word small here?
Yeah, he's using small that way in that category. Small means a set because set of sets don't form a set basically because that's the paradox. So you need to put a constant using Grothendieck's
Yeah. No,
Small
I just
universe to, yeah.
I get the, and I don't mind it too much, but I get the impression that he's, waving his hand a little bit here and sweeping some things under the rug that I'd rather actually see worked out in gory detail.
Yeah, yeah,
But I'm, given where we're at and what we're doing, I don't mind not seeing the gory detail for a while and coming back to it. Somebody else will cover it and I'll read it somewhere else. But
yeah.
I also want to make sure I'm, following his use of the word small.
Yeah, small in terms of, small universe, a kappa small they call it, where, all the set of sets do become form a set. Usually they form a collection, but within the small universe they form a set. That's what is
Yeah.
small means basically. So example 51232 talks about categories having underlying graphs. So I'm skipping to 5.2 unless people have any issues. Arun, is there a problem in between?
Let me know. It's in 5. It's in 5.2.
5.2 is fine? Okay.
Yeah, the issue I had is in 5.2. The question I
Okay,
had.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So he's giving examples of different categories from pure mathematics. One is monoids, groups, pre-orders. Uh, each monoid is a category with one object. Anybody has issue with that?
Wait, where are you at, Roma?
I'm at page 220, 239.
230. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay.
No,
So
that's
monoid is all. Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead, Arun.
No, I was saying each monoid is a category with one object, and yeah, it took me a while to figure that out, but I finally figured that out.
You're okay with it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it also made me stop a little bit. Okay. So what happens is the constant is next page before 240. He says each monoid homomorphism as a functor between one object categories.
Right.
I guess that comes pretty naturally after that.
It's a horrible
So
sentence,
here, yeah, go
but
ahead.
makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, that give a nice slogan out there. 5212. A monoid is a category with an object. A monoid homomorphism is just a functor between one object categories. So there's a functor between monoids and categories with the call. It's I small I guess looks like an identity, almost like identity. So 5213.
I wish they'd picked a different letter than I. It drives me bonkers.
I think there's a mean between his I out there. And I think because when you take categories, its I here probably means inclusive, included in, or something like
Yeah.
that. So that way it makes sense. Now if you look at 5214, our Faraday groups come here, groups as categories. Again, this one with a one object. And every morphism is an isomorphism. And a group homomorphism is just functor between such categories.
I almost
Again,
kind of wish I'd learned abstract algebra this way instead of the other way.
yeah, well, there's an advantage going each way, basically.
Yeah.
So theorem 5216 again follows what we've seen before, where it says a functor between groups of categories with the small letter I, which is like an inclusion, in the same way, basically. So the other one, I think I skipped the remaining part of the section here. We've gone to automorphisms of groups and endomorphisms, monoids.
Yeah.
Reorders of categories are, again, I think it's a category with one object. Where, right? It's one object, right?
Yeah. I mean, I gotta go back and play around more with order stuff. I like some of the examples with it, but still, for some reason, I just haven't played around with them as mathematical objects enough.
Yeah, pre-orders and a good thing about this guy is he gave very good examples of pre-orders and different types of ordering on the sets basically in the earlier chapters.
Yeah. But it also, I'm sure, has more entertainment in the topology space too.
Yeah. Then graphs as functors, I sort of came to that section.
Yeah, so that is where I had the question
Okay.
there.
Wait,
Go ahead.
which section, Erwin?
Graphs as functors. I think there. Oh, not there. The next page number 250.
Right.
Exercise 52126. How many functors are there? I could not. He says there are 9. I could not figure out how he came to 9 there. So if you guys later, whenever you take a look at this one, if you figure out how to get to 9 functors.
Oh, 9 functors you got?
52126, right? In that exercise.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
How
Let me take a
many
look at
functors are there of the form graph indexing category to symmetric graph indexing category? I think I also wrote that in. Maybe I may have written that question up in our forums. I think I may or may not. I don't remember now. But that was the question that I had.
I don't think it is. Well, there's 4 of this first one, and then there's 1 of this one, and 4 of these. So I guess the question is, which one of those 3 groups do you not follow, or do you not follow any of the 3?
Right. So so we could send both objects to A. Right. So I did not follow the first one. How he came up with 4. He's basically saying we could send both to A. And he says there are 4 of those. How is there 4?
Is it the same structure? He's talking about, this section here from 5.8 and then 5.9.
Right. So he's talking about these 2. Yeah, those 2. That's the one. Well, that's one, and the one on the next page, SGRIN, is the other one.
I need to dig into this. I don't know. Unless, Chris, you know that.
I logicked my way through it in the middle of last week.
Okay.
And it's been a while since I looked at it.
So yeah, if you could, I think I posted this question in, maybe I may have posted this in the forum. I'll take a look. If it's there, if you can reply to that, or if it's not there, I can create the question. So it will be there somewhere.
Definitely, we'll take a look at that and post our answers out there. Let me just, Chris, you can also look at that. I'll also look into that, get some resolution on this one.
Yeah, here, I'll mark it just to... And was it just the first one? This first section?
Yeah, that was the one. The other ones, I think, the other ones I think should be Okay, the first one is the one that I think I didn't go through the other ones since I got stuck on that one.
I think one of them I worked out, at least I think it was this last one I think I worked out in detail by pencil. And I probably waved my hand more than I should have at the first half.
Okay.
But I'll
So
look at that first one and map them all out.
Cool. Yeah, that'll be great if you.
What I really need to do is actually buy a physical copy of the book so I can just write in the thing and have it.
Oh, you don't have physical copy. You are reading it online.
Well, I usually read it as we're looking at it here, and I'll highlight parts or make little notes occasionally. But if it requires drawing diagrams or working something out, I usually throw it in a different notebook, and I don't have my notebook with me. Is at the office.
Yes. Okay.
Idiot that I am! I left it this afternoon. I left early, and the only thing I took was my laptop. So.
Okay.
But it's always nicer if and most of these usually are quick enough that I can, if I had a physical book, I could, write a big chunk in, big empty spaces.
Yeah.
Did he define forgetful functors prior to this?
no, I don't think so.
I don't think he did.
There's a few things every now and then that he throws out and either says, "Oh, we'll define this in chapter 6 or 7," but
No, he did. He defined it in this chapter itself, and further down he defined it.
I know I saw it somewhere, but I'm trying to keep him not honest, so I'm keeping a running list of things he needs to fix for the next edition.
Good
Where
question.
he throws in things like where was it? Oh, it was right here. He throws in forgetful functors, and then he references chapter 7. And it's kind of like, don't do that to me.
Yeah.
I think next one I zoomed off is into 523 spaces. That's the most critical one I thought. Arun, you have any questions in between we need to look at?
One quick thing here. The forgetful functor, shouldn't forgetful functor be from the symmetric one to the other one, no? Because you're forgetting, forgetful functor means you're forgetting something, right? So when you're forgetting means you're going from one with more structure to less structure, right? Anyway, so just...
No, forgetful functor, you're right. You're forgetting, you're losing some structure going from one place to other place.
Right, so then you should go from the symmetric one because that has more structure.
That has more structure. If you go to symmetric away from symmetric, then you're lost some structure. You're right. Like for example, groups to sets or groups to monoid.
That's forgetful, right?
Yeah, that's forgetful. Group to sex is a forgetful.
So here it should be from symmetric SGRIN to GRIN, the other way around, right? No?
Yeah, I
because
think so.
SGRIN has more structure because it has the... Anyway, so that was... I don't know whether... Yeah. So that confused me actually. So whether it should be like this or whether he's talking about going the other way in the question. Anyway, please take a look and if you find something...
Yeah. Definitely, we'll work it out and send you some solutions. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Wait, which one was that?
Hey guys.
No, in the same
from
page 251.
251. Okay.
He mentioned the forgetful functor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he says the inclusion GRIN to SGRIN has something to do with forgetful functors. So I was wondering whether the forgetful functor is GRIN to SGRIN or SGRIN to GRIN because the symmetric GRIN is the one that has more structure. So it shouldn't be the other way around when it becomes a forgetful functor. So I had basically that question kind of all through me. So that was why I was wondering about that. Anyway.
We'll work on that one, okay?
Yeah.
I think, Chris, I need to stop here because I need to go, and you guys want to continue, you can continue, but most critical one is coming next, which is 523, which is spaces, topological spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
I skipped this next like mini section on database schemas anyway. I mean, I kind of skimmed through it, but it's
yeah, but the critical section is topological spaces. That's very important.
yeah. This section was pretty entertaining. But and this is like the last one in this section before we get to
Natural transformations, yeah.
the section 5.3.
Yeah, the natural transformations.
So then the question is, how far should we try and get for next week?
Let's see if we can go to end of 5.2 and perhaps some 5.3, depending on, because I think 5 categories of set, categories applied to sciences, some of them we can skip. National, yeah, we can go to 5.3, we can start national transformations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And try and get about halfway through 5.3 for the end of next week.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
5 is a big section, so maybe like half of it, maybe yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
It's like
target.
30 plus pages.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, guys.
Sounds good to me. All right.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Tell your
Bye,
wife
everyone.
forgive her for taking you away from us.
Same thing, boss.
All right, kids. We'll see you guys next week.
All right. See you guys next.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye, guys.